Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the National Finals of TCS iON IntelliGem 2021. Before we progress to the contest itself, may I request and welcome Mr. Mahadevan from TCS iON to set the ball rolling.
Thank you. A big hello to everyone. It is a tremendous pleasure that I welcome you all to the grand finale of the TCS iON IntelliGem 2021. It just looks like yesterday, but we are at the final stages of the third edition of this contest. When we started, we had two goals in mind. One, how do we enable the skills and competencies young learners of today need, what everyone talks about the 21st century skills. And two, how do we work with the school system to really see how these can be integrated as part of everyday learning. First, let me congratulate all the finalists who are here. You all have reached, after 3 rounds, competing with the thousands across the country, the best who put their foot forward, but not necessarily in the bestest of the circumstances, I believe. Given the challenges in terms of the pandemic, in terms of the way we had to reimagine the way we study, the way we work. In fact, we had to reimagine the contest. We reimagined every single aspect of this contest to ensure that you all stay home, stay safe, and still be part of the 21st century skills domain. When we started the reimagination, we wanted to ensure that we have a model which is ready to go global. Reimagining every aspect of this contest helped us come to a situation today where you might not be competing with just the best in the country, but best around the globe very soon, maybe in the very next year. All of this would not have been possible without the active participation and enthusiastic support from schools and students. We are happy to tell you that schools from 180 plus cities and towns of the country, spread over 27 states, participated. A big thank you to each and every one of you who took the initiative to encourage your young learners to be ready for the future. Today, we have in front of us 50 of the young gems who are going to compete for the final stage of this, for the national crown of TCS iON IntelliGem. Till now, I hope you all had a very good experience, and hopefully the last stage is going to be yours. So all the best. Put your best foot forward and ensure that you are at your articulate best, creative best, and also empathetic best. Best wishes. Thank you.
Thank you, Maha. Let me now introduce your host for today, who perhaps requires no introduction. Orator, quizmaster, Harvard alum, you guessed it right. Time for us to welcome your host, Big Brain.
Hello and a warm welcome to each and every one of you. You're with me, Big Brain, here today at the national finale of TCS iON IntelliGem's Universal Values Senior Final. We've seen some outstanding battles over the last couple of days that you would have been witnessing, whether it was global citizenship or universal values in the junior category. Here today, we've got 6 outstanding finalists, I'm told, from right across the length and breadth of this country. And they're going to be battling here for the top honors in the senior category of universal values. Well, perhaps these are topics which are becoming even more pertinent as the world evolves and perhaps becomes a far more interdependent place. 2020 has taught us how important interdependence of nations is. And perhaps a reflection of all of that comes down to what values we carry as individuals, as communities, and of course, as countries and nations of the world. But for the moment here today, It's not for me to be the orator, it's for you and for me to just moderate your ability to articulate the views. We've got multiple rounds. Please remember, like you already would know, the judges would be looking for your confidence and your originality of content, primarily, apart from, of course, all the other things that go with the contest, including body language, even in a digital medium. All the more because your facial expressions and your genuineness of expression comes out far more closer than probably at a ground event, because the cameras are far better in a digital medium. But here we are today as you keep those smiles, and we'll get started with the first frontier. But before we get there, let me introduce these finalists to you. Joining us as our first finalist here today from the lovely city of Hyderabad, we have with us, representing the Meridian School, is Devi Kashyap. Welcome to you, Devi, as we introduce her as our first finalist. Welcome to you. Neighboring Devi as our second finalist here today is a representative from Indoor's Sishukunj International School, Vanshika Jha. Welcome to you, Vanshika. As we move to our next contestant here today, representing the Padma Seshadri Balbhavan School from Chennai, is Sashank Arun. Qualifying from Bengaluru, representing the Presidency School as our next contender here today, is Devika Nair. Welcome to you. As a second representative from Padma Seshadri Chennai, and these are good schools which do well historically at this contest, is Shreya Ramesh. Welcome to you. And completing our lineup from right up north in Punjab, from Ludhiana, from the Ryan International School, is Srijana Bish. Welcome to you. There you are, from literally the length and breadth of our nation here today are our 6 finalists. Before we progress, let me also quickly tell you who our 2 jury members are before we move and, of course, finish the initial rounds and then introduce them formally. But for the moment, it's my pleasure and a privilege here today to first welcome all the way from Kuwait, an academic, a writer, a former hockey player. Well, with us here today is Dr. Susan, all the way from Kuwait. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Susan. Pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you so much, and all the best to everybody.
As our next judge here today, we have a person who has set right many a college students. So, well, all you high schoolers, be careful. Well, we got Miss Nagmani, a wonderful person, an extremely popular person at a college. And that's a rarity for a dean of an institute. A very passionate teacher is how I would see her more than anything else. Truly wonderful to have you with us, Nagmani ma'am. And welcome to our final.
Thank you so much, Kiri. Best of luck, all of you. God bless you.
All right, there we are. Time for us to get started with the first frontier of our battle here today. Time for you to introduce yourself in 30 seconds. Well, life doesn't give us too much of an opportunity in a modern world. 30 seconds, well, could well become 10 in the future. Who knows? But for now, if you were to introduce yourself with the values you stand for or the way you look at it in just 30 seconds, what would that introduction of yours be? We'll start with the first frontier coming up now. Keep it to roughly 30 seconds. 30 becoming 35 is still okay for us, but don't make it 1 minute. So just keep that in mind in terms of timing. And we're going to start with our first introduction coming in from Devi, who's coming in from Hyderabad. Your 30 seconds, Devi, if you could switch on your mic. Starting now.
Good evening, everybody. I am Devi Kashyap, and today I'm here to express my inner Devi magic in universal values. And for that, I've also penned down a short poem that I would like to share with all of you. Today, here we are to celebrate the values every day we implement and use. Hand-me-downs and built within learn from all, from kith and kin. Mother and father taught us all how to stand upright and tall. Grandparents, all alike, celebrating the little tyke. And then my parents told me, "Dear, what roots you have, now volunteer. Grow your leaves and stretch them out, and grow yourself, not one tear, not one doubt." And so I grew to be the tallest, strongest, wildest tree. And so I grew to see a world so beautiful I smile on my knee. Thank you.
Well, she sets the tone for how this contest is perhaps going to be. Well, Devi, with that remarkable introduction in 30 seconds, as we go right across to Indore, Vanshika Jha, your time, your introduction.
Good evening to all of you. I am Vanshika Jha and I am a student of grade 9. This Diwali, I, along with my friends, took initiative of lighting a lamp in the darkness of the needy. So here I wish to highlight that taking initiative is one of the most important traits of being a good leader. And I am of the opinion that even a smallest initiative reflecting values like sympathy towards our fellow humans can make a very big difference in the society. The world is one family, and universal values bind all of us. And I firmly believe that it is my duty as a global citizen and a responsible leader to uphold the universal values like peace, sympathy, integrity, equality, to make greater endeavors towards world as a living community. Thank you.
Moving on to our third contestant here from Chennai, Sashank Arun, your 30 seconds.
Good evening. I'm Shashankaran, Alliance Captain Environment. I lead an army of children to fight against global warming through a YouTube comics series. I have taken this lockdown and have made many children part of the Captain Environment community and have made them global citizens with me too.
All right. As we move across to Bengaluru, not too far from Chennai, given that we have a judge today all the way from Kuwait, is Devika, your 30 seconds.
So, a very good evening to one and all present here. I am Devika Asnaya from Presidency School. So, in this 21st century, the most important aspect for the existence of human race is universal values, irrespective of the technological advancements we've had as humans. I, a proud Indian, where we have learned from our Vedas and Upanishads on the importance of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, which means that the world is one family. As a leader, I would like to bring all these values into the brains of the young children of this generation.
All right. As we move across to Chennai again with Shreya Ramesh, waiting for her 30 seconds of time.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. I'm Shreya Ramesh from class 7 of PSBB. Values and morals are some of the most undervalued, pun intended, aspects of life. Despite the fact that they are the ground rules of society which guide us in all our actions and decisions, be it right or wrong. And that's why I decided to take up this topic, because after all, my morals and values are what brought me here. So as a leader, I would certainly like to impose the fact, to imprint the fact on everyone to follow your morals and values to guide you to wherever you want to go. Thank you.
All right, Shreya Ramesh there from Chennai. As we move across right up north, well, Srijana, your 30 seconds.
Once again, a very good evening to the jury. My name is Srijana Best and I'm a student of class 8th from Ryan International School, Ludhiana, Punjab. And my hobbies are Madhubani painting, and I am a lot into R&B and alternative pop music. And when it comes to values, I feel like gratefulness is something that needs to be a priority. Just imagine if everybody in the earth is grateful, how magical our lives would be. And just imagine how responsible we will become, not for ourselves, but for others' life as well, and also for the Mother Earth that we have got. So I feel like gratefulness is a really important trait, and then I aim to maintain a peaceful environment around myself, which is also friendly at the same time. Thank you.
All right, early 30 seconds from all of them as we move to the second frontier here today. It's time for us to look a little deeper into your thought process. Here it comes. It's been a difficult year for the entire world. And it's been so difficult because rarely have there been occasions in world history where the whole world has been engulfed with the same problem. And that's probably what made this problem look like a bigger problem. It brought about a lot of new things, a change in our own attitudes to the way we look at life, the way we'll probably look at travel. One of the things that became a mantra was work from home, quiz from home, take part in debates from home. Well, we would like you to lend your thoughts on our topic here today. What's your view on leadership from home? Well, you've got 1 minute of time to articulate your views. We'll go in the reverse order. So Srijana gets a first hit at the topic. A minute of time is what you have. Keep an eye on your time. We don't have bells screeching at you, but do keep a conscious view that you've got a minute of time. Srijana, all yours. 1 minute.
Sure, sir. Leadership is a really important human trait, and I feel like during this time of pandemic, we all have been isolated, and something that has been affected the most is the working class. And the people who have taken the lead have got the highest amount of responsibility because they need to make the workplace more interactive, and at the same time they need to make sure that the schedules are more flexible and more productive. Leadership from home is way different and way difficult than the way it used to be that at the workplace, because the leaders were easily able to affect the workplace at the same time that would cater the needs of all the workers or the colleagues simultaneously. However, that is not possible from the remote direction. So I feel like to promote leadership from home, the leaders can do is to promote some of the fun games, the informal talks, so that they boost up the morale of the colleagues as well as they are able to make the schedules more productive. Moreover, it is really important that leaders ensure that the work time is not overloaded or it is not elongated. Moreover, it is really important to expel isolation. Leadership is the ability not only to just manage the things, but I feel like we need to give some energetic vibes. And this can be done from home only if leaders become more friendly and more approachable, so that the other colleagues do not fear themselves from asking or ensuring something. And I feel like leadership from home is very different, but it has taught uh, a really new lesson, and it has taught us how we can easily be social even after being working from remote areas with the help of today's technology. And it is really important for the leaders to become more approachable, more friendly. They need to be more creative with the technological equipments that are available to us nowadays. Moreover, they need to ensure that not only they're able to address the struggles that the colleagues are facing, but also help them at the same time. Thank you.
All right, moving from her 1 minute on the topic to Shreya from Chennai. What's your view, Shreya?
Yes, so of course, we've all been impacted very heavily by this pandemic, from global leaders such as presidents and prime ministers, right down to us children attending our online classes. And of course, the impact has been felt very heavily everywhere. So now it's up to leaders to do all they can to meet everyone's needs and to make everyone feel included. The qualities of a good leader are to adapt to any situation and make things run smoothly. I've been carefully observing my parents and have seen how this has affected them as well, as they have slowly adapted to meet the needs of their colleagues and fellow workers. So we have to all get better at communication is what I feel. And look at the pros and cons of what this situation has given to us. Right down from global leaders managing parliament, managing parliament sitting at home, right down to us managing our group projects, despite not being able to meet up with one another. So we still have to be able to communicate and meet everybody's needs is what I would like to not exaggerate, but is what I would like to implement in everybody. So what I feel is that humans have always been social creatures, and despite our circumstances, now we must embrace that. Thank you.
All right, very different perspectives coming in. Devika from Bengaluru. Let's see what she has to say. Go on, Devika.
So, like Simon Sinek once told, true leadership is the willingness to place others' needs above our needs. I strongly believe that the basics of leadership and values are learned right from the moment that we are born, from our family, friends, teachers, relatives, and almost everyone whom we meet in our life. Mahatma Gandhi ji once said that our habits become our values and our values become our destiny. This is very much true, and as the young generation of this world, it is our responsibility to make a change. The values that I have learned from my family, friends, teachers, like integrity, human dignity, self-belief, being trustworthy, etc., are everything that have driven my actions. I am very proud to say that I have been able to make a difference in this pandemic, like helping the laborers near my society, helping to clean the society, etc. To summarize, I would say that leadership starts from me, at my home, in my neighborhood, in the nation, and the world at large. Thank you.
All right, Devika giving her view on that as we move across to Shashank Arun from Chennai. Shashank.
I traveled Jasmine to the classroom for 9 years, taught work, homework, projects, exams, and leadership during the holidays. As a leader, I try my best to inculcate in children the responsibility to take action against global warming. I do this through a YouTube comic series. The lockdown has opened many opportunities for me. I have written 2 songs, learned to edit videos, and made 2 music videos with the captains of my apartment. My Green Action Takers activity book is in Amazon Kindle and in the hands of many children around the world to help them take action against global warming. My Organize Your Homes so that you can have reduced waste online program had 3 successful batches. To inspire a generation that wakes up and shuts eye to apps, I am learning how to make apps. If Gandhiji, our father of the nation, could lead from the prison, we can lead from our homes too. Jai Hind.
Well, passionate from Chennai is Shashank Arun as we move across to Indore with Vanshika waiting for us there.
It is said that a great leader knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. Well, the matter of fact is that leadership starts right in our own home, just like everything else. Just like working in an organization or with a group of people within a family, too, leadership is not always easy. Just like the world out there, the environment at home is also challenging and stressful at times. Managing relationships in itself requires leadership skills. To be an effective leader at home, we need to be gentle and kind while dealing with our family members. Similarly, while we work out with a group of people, we need to have a sympathetic approach. Our leadership style at home has to lean towards keeping peace and harmony among the family members, and this applies to the world out there too. Thus learning leadership skills at home makes us responsible at an early age. We understand that maintaining integrity even at the home front is important. We learn to be accountable for our actions. And thus, when we choose to lead our family first, our leadership with others increases exponentially. Thank you.
All right, Vanshika there from Indore as we move across to Hyderabad. And our last minute going to Devi Kashyap. Devi, your time.
Thank you. I couldn't agree with you more, Vanshika. It is completely true that a leader is a person who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. And this is true for whatever era a human being is living in, whether it is 1789 or 2021. But this has become quite a task when all of the leadership goes into online platform. Like Srijana also said, that it is quite difficult to do leadership on a platform where there is minimum human connect, isn't it? And this is why it's my belief that it is important to be able to not just communicate with your team members, but also to be able to connect at a human level to every team member. Unlike in a normal scenario, we are not going to be speaking to our peers, to our team members by speaking in ladies and gentlemen. Wait, oops, there are no ladies and gentlemen, are there? For now, there are no ladies and gentlemen. Now we are speaking not to nodding heads in a stadium, but in fact to people who sometimes don't even want to switch on their videos online. Therefore, it is important for us as leaders to be able to connect not just to a person a meter away, a podium away, or a stadium away, but also to a person who are miles and miles away in different cities and still be able to make that person feel, make that person believe, and sometimes transform, sometimes accept, sometimes change, and also create change, even on an online basis. Thank you.
Well, these are really fantastic kids that we've got. It's a national final, remember, of a contest which gets thousands of students to take part. Time for us to move into the next frontier of our battle here today. They're going to articulate and battle between themselves for 8 minutes. And it's time for us to ask them to voice their views. Here it comes. So in an allocated 8 minutes of time, they will deliberate amongst themselves and hopefully arrive at a decision at the end of 8 minutes on a subject which is coming up on your screen now. Open book exams are fair. Well, it's been something everyone's been debating about, especially after the pandemic came about and you started taking online tests. So we're going to allow you to deliberate for 8 minutes and we'll all keep quiet except the 6 of you. Your time starts now.
So I like to start off, even though I'm going against the topic. So an open book exam is usually an exam in a course where you have different resources that you can use during the exam. But I don't think this is the right way, because when you have an open book exam, you actually don't study. And that's not going to help you at all. I mean, you just sit and copy whatever's there in the book. There's no use.
Devika, I have a very different view. It's my belief that the fact that we are actually memorize everything is literally the same logic of copying everything from the textbook. If in fact we should not be memorizing things that we are anyways going to be getting on Google, and I'm sure others will also agree on this. Is there anybody else who would like to back me up?
Yes, me.
Yeah.
So you're saying that we won't learn anything, but that's not true. If we have to read it at least a few times, or else we'll waste time during the exam by turning our pages. And if we don't read and understand, we will not be able to connect the information we read to the questions they ask, as the questions won't be state the definition or state the law. It would be such as use the law in a correct in this particular place.
I agree, Shashank. Especially when you are giving questions, when teachers are given the, I would say, challenge to create questions that can actually be applied in real life, that is when life gets more realistic. That's when we actually learn something from the tests. Additionally, the fact that we're all discussing cheating as a thing, that means that people are cheating. I mean, even CBSE had to postpone exams that were supposed to happen in this month and last month because they feared students cheating. The fact that students are cheating technically completely means that we are teaching people to just ratto or memorize what is there in the textbook. Instead of doing that, if we actually have questions based on logic or application in real life, it makes more sense. Is there anybody else who would like to add?
Yeah,
Yes,
Yeah, I think we'll start with Shia, your
sure.
youngest first.
Yeah, I agree with what you say, Devi. I too feel that learning by rote is absolutely useless. It's like the saying that says go come into one ear and go out the other. Because like we
Exactly.
all know, the moment you leave that exam hall, you're not going to remember a thing. But I personally feel that open book exams are fair, because everybody is given the same resource material and information, and you choose how you want to innovate, create, and come up with a new solution to the problem posed.
Amazing. I
I
completely agree.
I agree
Yeah,
with
sorry.
all three of you, and as you all said, that this type of system, if it comes into practice, it will focus more on application based thinking. The examiners or the teachers will be forced to create questions that are not straightforward or not from any book or resource material, but rather which test the critical thinking skills of student. Further, as I see many of my friends and including myself, during the exam time, we panic so much about learning the facts or things, and I think if open book exams come into existence, we'll be very much mentally relieved that we don't have to memorize the things.
Yeah, I agree. A
But
lot of anxiety is created because of the whole thing that we have to memorize. When in fact, memory as human beings, we are losing that trait, which means that we are adapting to a different world. The fact that we are adapting to a world with Google Babaji, that quite literally means that, we can live without not knowing these random facts and definitions.
Instead of
Yeah, Devika, I'm so sorry.
Yes, so but if we do this, I mean, if we just check in Google or check the books, in the long run, when you're in future, when you want to apply for a job, you're sitting in front of the interviewer, they ask something, we don't know what it is, we'll be like, wait a minute, let me just check in Google and let me tell you what it is. We can't do that. I mean, then they won't know what our actual capacity is. So if we memorize, we can understand, the person who questioning us can understand our ability and then can check whether we are eligible for the job. I mean, or other, if we just have open book exams, we just copy from here and write it here, it just goes. So there's not much use.
but then
Okay,
again,
so
if the same scenario, if you're sitting at a job interview, do you think you're more likely to be here hired if you sit like a robot and just repeat what you googled the
completely.
last night, or whether you have a good sense of humor and a nice personality? The interviewers are also thinking about how you're how you work with your colleagues, because we all know that the happier you are working with someone, the more productive you can be together
and
as
another
a
thing,
group.
it's been
That's amazing example,
open book
Shreya.
exams are already being implemented into jobs such as law. So there's this bar association exam, which is actually an open book exam. And if you take the example of doctors, for they have dosage charts on their walls in so that they don't make a mistake, and then they have
Mhm.
the what medicine to give, and so. But you might ask for this. You might ask, why can't people just read that and do it themselves? Because I'm asking you the question: would you call a doctor, or would you administer yourself with a vaccine, or would you fix your own AC by seeing a YouTube tutorial, or would you call an AC technician?
Ah, I agree. I guess different jobs do need different qualifications. Certain example that I want to give is that my grandfather happened to work in the railways during his time. He used to have to memorize longitudes and latitudes of rail lines, had to memorize the way that he's supposed to do things, what locations are there, information that wasn't really needed for an engineer at that point of time. Engineer basically oversaw the construction, but instead he was having to memorize all other not needed information as well. But today, what about that information? That information, we can get it on Google. We have written it down in several books. Like Shashank said, for doctors, we have large charts. So today, memory isn't as important as practical usage. So instead of teaching children to memorize, teach children to practically use things by giving access to open book exams. You're basically training the child for a different future, for an
And
actual ideal future.
But if
Yes,
have a You have a minute
And
to
if
go.
you're saying
Sorry to
them
interrupt.
in office jobs when they take an interview, if it's a full-fledged open book exam, then they wouldn't ask questions such that we need to see the book. They would ask questions on how you understand what problems are there in the company, and if you think you can make it better, or how you can innovate in the company.
True.
Right, and many institutions like Delhi University and several entrance exams are now going for this open book exams. And I think the people who are against this method are actually having several myths about this method. We feel that this practice will promote plagiarism. Well, that's not true. If you simply copy the answer word to word, you'll not be credited marks. So if this practice like open book exam come to existence, children will learn to frame their answers in a creative way, and that will definitely make them better writers, and they can think creatively.
But for now, if you're having an open
Like
book
that.
exam, most of the people are going to take the exams lightly. I mean, they're going to be like, anyway, we have the book, so we have to just concentrate on the main points. So when you're in a class and when the teacher's explaining, most of the time we're just going to concentrate on the most formulas, not what the teacher's telling. So actually, as a matter of fact, teachers give us more information than the books could ever give us. I mean, they give us real
I
life
completely agree.
experience. So if we don't actually listen to classes, I mean, we're not going to get anything. I mean, if we just take the exams lightly and not listen to
Why
class,
do
we're not going to get anywhere.
I completely agree with
All
you,
right.
Devika, that
I'm sorry. You all have completely run out of time. And let me request Srijana if she has a view on the topic to express herself. Srijana, Devi, if you could mute your mic for a moment.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
So I would like to speak in favor of open book exams. I feel like open book exams, first of all, just examine what is the purpose of education being given to every child in India. Why it is important? It is important so that we get a better future. It is basically to just check out that we are understanding what is the motive of a particular subject, a particular agenda, and we are able to just apply it in our practical world as well. And I feel like open book exams are something like that. It is just not about rote memory or just something to memorize or cramming that usually students do before exams. It is just about we can take a help from the book which is kept aside us. We can calm ourselves and perform much better. And I feel like under stress, if we are under stress, we won't be able to perform much better, because uh, a lot of students, even the toppers, get really stressed a few days before exams just because they are not able to cover up the syllabus. Sometimes it is like the peer pressure or the comparison, but if they have a backup which is kept aside them, they would be calm and would be able to perform much better if they're not under stress and if the exams go open book. Moreover, it is about cognitive abilities that will be really increased, because students, whenever attempting the paper, they will write down what they understood after reading the book, what they understood from the chapter. Moreover, teachers will be giving something which is actually getting applied, which is getting used practically in the practical world. So I feel like open book exams will be more useful when compared to that of the closed book exams, because there will be less of the cramming and more practical use. Therefore, I feel like it will be something that will help us out to fully establish or fully complete the motive of education being distributed to each and every child. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Srijana. Thanks to the rest of you for this. I will leave it at that. You've had your fair share of views, so I do see a few hands going up, but we'll let that pass for the moment. But I must state one thing, and we've anchored thousands of such programs as hosts. This must be among the most civilized group discussions I have anchored in many years. I must appreciate that. Dare I say, it's probably because of the number of girls on the panel. I don't want to quite say that, but sometimes I think the decorum does get contained, and it doesn't become a shouting match when sometimes you have a few girls who are there to balance out opinions to be aired and not necessarily to be with raised voices. So I truly appreciate all the 6 of you for being extraordinarily mature, giving each other the space and time to express themselves. That's really what is so important. Well done. And for now, of course, we will move on. It's a contentious topic. I can only share, honestly, that in life you will understand open book exams are way, way more difficult than normal exams. You can, in fact, I remember I took my first open book exam where we were told you can sit in the library. So I did not even have to carry books. So we had the entire library to refer to. The problem is you don't know where to look for the answer. Well, so it's not as easy as one thinks it is. But nonetheless, we'll progress with our battle here today into our penultimate round, after which we'll come to the jury. And this is a round where we would like to see the kind of perspective that you bring to something that is abstract and how you look at it from applying values to something that doesn't necessarily come across as representation of values at first sight. On the other side, here we go to our next round, and that's called Your Perspective. Here it comes. All right, in this round, what we're going to do is we've got something abstract for you. Here it comes on your screen. We've got for you 7, is that 7? 2, 5, 7. 7 identities which essentially are from what would one call the world we live in. Now, of these 7, the last of you will still get 2 to choose. So we would like you to not repeat what someone else chose, ideally, unless you are super sure you're going to give a different viewpoint. Then I'll allow you to choose a topic chosen by someone else. Now, what you've got to do is you've got these big brands that affect our lives or the world one way or the other. You have to interpret whichever company or logo you choose, and in about 30 seconds to a minute, you will tell us what values come to your mind when you think of this brand or a company that you choose. I'll give you a simple example. Tata. Here it comes. 2 words that come instantly to your mind when you think of the brand Tata: trust and fair play. They stand for it. They've stood for it for 150 years, which is probably what makes them what they are. Every brand carries its own values. But what do you think of the value these modern brands bring to the table? We'll go back to the grid and we'll allow you to make your choice. And we'll go clockwise again, which means we'll start with Devi. Devi will have the first pick on her list of topics. Whatever you want to choose, Devi. 30 seconds to a minute, but you'll have to speak instantly so you get lesser time to think. Yes.
All right, so I would like to choose Audible as the
All right.
company.
We'll go with Audible. What does Audible tell you? We'll just click on that so our audience are able to see it. Just in case we've carried a line of description, and that may not necessarily be required for you. But go ahead. Devi, what do you interpret of Audible? Your time now.
Okay, so as it's written over here, that Audible is an online audiobook and podcast service owned by Amazon. Personally, I love books. Our house is covered in books, and I have no more space for anything else. And when it comes to Audible, it's basically those same books with the same out-of-the-world thoughts and in-world thoughts both, just in a can-take-around thought. To me, books mean imagination. And imagination is something that is the root for everything else in life, including, of course, values. When we are able to imagine a world that is filled with people where everybody has the values to uphold the world, that is when we can actually build a road to that goal. So therefore, to me, Audible means imagination, and imagination means seeing the goal and finding a road to it. Thank you.
All right. Interpreting Audible as a route to imagination and the future is Devi. As we move back to our grid here, and Vanshika to make her choice.
So I would like to go ahead with the biggest e-commerce company, that is Amazon.
Okay.
Amazon, when we hear this e-commerce brand, a lot of things just start running in our mind. Amazon has made our life a lot more easier. An e-commerce platform where we can buy a wide variety of products. But the values that I associate with Amazon are trust, customer service, and integrity. Trust. Amazon has never failed to earn the trust of its customers. It has provided us with a wide variety of things, and even if we are satisfied, they accept our collective feedback. And that is what has made this e-commerce company stand out of from the rest of the others. Talking about their high quality customer service, well, that is something that is a chief characteristic of Amazon. From I mean, now every person has an application in their mobile called Amazon. We just are a click away to order anything that we need, and Amazon has never failed to provide the prompt service, and the quality of the service is what mesmerizes its customers. Next, integrity. They've always stood by their values. And also, talking about philanthropy, I'm not much aware of this value, though I would like to say that Amazon has even made remarkable contributions, or has donated a good amount of money for helping those in need.
If I was Amazon, I would send you a voucher for that opinion. Well, certainly a very, very encouraging opinion by a youngster on Amazon. They'll be delighted if they watch this episode on the values they seem to be emitting. As we go across to our next contender, Sashank Arun, what do you want to choose, young man?
So I would like to choose WhatsApp, which is currently a controversial topic. So WhatsApp, even though it's controversial and there's a big problem, I would not like to be talking about that, but the good things about it. So it has been, it was first regarded as an innovation, so that people from around the world can contact each other easily. So this has not been possible with the messaging services or the phone. You have to pay for that. And WhatsApp was free. So people are very happy with that. So it has also helped people to coexist with each other. It has brought the value of global responsibility and global responsibility, global and responsible citizenship, because they can easily contact people, and by contacting they can increase the amount of ideas they get by sharing their thoughts. It has helped many people, such as elders who are not able to move a lot, call their grandkids and um, and their friends and their old colleagues. So instead of just talking on the phone, they could be talking face to face through video chat. WhatsApp has also created a very easy service. So even today we are using it for our school purposes. They're sending us the link.
All right, Sashank Arun there from Chennai. As we move across to Devika from Bengaluru. What do you want to choose, Devika?
So I would choose Ola. So Ola, it's a cab or taxi service for the people. So it's readily available for everyone. So I would say that it's an app which allows almost everyone to book a ride. I mean, if you want emergency services, or if you want to go somewhere, well, your car doesn't have petrol or something, or you don't have enough money to book a taxi, or you don't find a taxi around. Ola's always there for you. Just a phone, click it out, and you get it. Whichever way you want, from the smallest car to the biggest car, it's always there. And I would tell that they show integrity, because no matter what, they always come. I mean, if we call them, they will come. Even if they haven't come this way ever before, they will somehow find the way to reach to our destination. And that is a really good thing. I mean, and also I would tell that it's almost readily available for everyone. So I would say they show human dignity. So if a person is averagely paid person, they could choose the smallest car. I mean, they would still get a ride. And even if there's a very highly rich person, they would still get a cab, even if they want the smallest one or the biggest one. So I would show that they show human dignity, and they accept feedback even if it's bad or good. They're always there. They always help. So if it was a bad ride, they can tell. I mean, they don't have a problem in listening to it, and they implement it. They implement the corrections. So I would say they show collective feedback too. Yes, sir.
All right. Human dignity and Ola. Well, these are kids of class 7, 8, and 9. Remember, they certainly seem to be way ahead of what we were in class 7, 8, and 9. But as we move on to our next contender here today, it is Shreya from Chennai. What do you want to choose, Shreya?
Yes, I'd like to choose Airbnb. So, yes. So the moment I saw Airbnb on that screen, the first word that came to my mind was inclusivity. This might be quite a weird thing to relate with such a company, but how I look at it is that whenever people travel to places, they always look for those big hotels, the fancy resorts with good reviews and stuff like that. But I feel so when I was small, my parents owned a small house, but then we moved to a different house that was closer to my school. So no one, whether you're a business tycoon or just a small person, you can still make money from that house that you have and let it out. Another thing that came to my mind immediately was being a good citizen, because people who come to travel, they don't always have the biggest budget. They might have spent all their money on traveling there. So instead of going to a big hotel or resort where you have to pay $20 for that extra bar of soap, I think coming to an Airbnb would be a better choice, considering that the people who own that house they too have a opportunity to develop the economy of their country. Thank you.
All right, Shreya's perspective on Airbnb. Let's go to our final contestant here from Ludhiana, Srijana. Go ahead.
Sir, I would like to go along with TED.
Okay.
So TED is a non-profit organization. It is an NPO which empowers people to come ahead, boost up their confidence, and express their views about their country, their nationalities, and their backgrounds. So I feel like TED is a symbol of trustworthiness as well as service, or it can be synonymous to philanthropy, because irrespective of the caste, creed, color, or gender, it comes out to support people to express their views about their country and to raise up their voices, to explain people, to explore their backgrounds. And I feel like it boosts up their confidence because it provides them a worldwide and international platform to come up with their ideas. So I feel like TED represents trustworthiness, human dignity, equality, and fairness. Thank you.
All right. Very, very different interpretations from all of them. And these brands would really be happy to know the kind of values that they are associated with. I don't know if it's an Indian thing currently, but what gets left out even in a discussion like this is TikTok. Well, unfortunate for TikTok at this point in time. Anyway, we'll move on to the final frontier of our game at the Universal Values Seniors category from TCS iON IntelliGem. It's time for us to have our jury. Here it comes. Let me begin, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, watching this fantastic finale here today. A quick introduction to know a little bit more about our jury members before they ask their questions to the contestants. First up, joining us all the way from Kuwait here today is an academic. She is a professor in the domain of accounting with the American University of the Middle East at Kuwait. And she teaches MBA students and other programs. She is a doctorate in accounting and finance. She's had almost a decade of experience in the corporate world and more than a decade of experience in the academic world. She is a widely traveled person with experience across 3 countries, authored as many as 17 research papers, 2 book chapters, presented at several conferences. She was recently honored with the Hind Ratan Award for 2021, which is one of the highest Indian diaspora awards granted annually to the NRIs. And she was also awarded a Young Professor of the Year Award in Management for 2020 by the Second International Business and Academic Excellence Awards. So you got an extremely illustrious person who perhaps while not teaching or mentoring students would be listening to music, watching sports, and in her younger days, like I did mention a little earlier when we started, was a hockey player for the Maharashtra state at the state level. So it's indeed a pleasure and privilege for us to have with us our first jury member, Dr. D'Souza. Welcome to you, Doctor, and truly appreciate your presence here today in this big final.
I just want to say a thank you. And it's really lovely to, takes me back to school when I see all of them. It's really nice.
Thank you so much. As we move across to our second jury member here today, someone who I've always viewed as a very passionate educator with over 2 decades of experience in communication, literature, media, and behavioral sciences. She's been someone who really pioneered industry interactions when it came to institutes for over a decade now, when institutes were actually in isolation from industry. People like her were really the ones who built that crucial bridge. So people are prepared to start working and contributing to work the moment they join the workforce. She's a very keen researcher at heart and would any day want to be a researcher, a teacher, and someone who really loves the domain of communication. She's a regularly invited speaker at many conferences, including ones as large as those organized by NASSCOM governments across the country. She's also a person with a lot of consciousness for the causes that she associates with, ranging from Help Educate a Child to education and leadership forums that she mentors. Truly a pleasure and privilege for us to have amidst us here today, Ms. Nagamani. Thank you so much for joining us as our jury member. Pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much. The pleasure is mine as well. Best of luck, all of you.
And well, may I dare say best of luck to the 2 jury members at this point, because this has been quite a contest. If I was there, it would be a tough chair to be seated on. I would urge you to pick 3 students in your mind to whom you would pose a question, and restrict your questions to 1 child at a time, and 3 children maximum per jury member, so we cover all the 6 of them. So if we could start with you, Dr. Susan, and if you could choose who you would want to pose the question to and your question.
Yes, great. So I would like to choose Shriya Ramesh. And I have a question for her, and I really liked her thought process throughout, right from the beginning to of course, everybody was wonderful, and it was a pleasure to listen all of you all. But something what I liked in her is she connects everything to the real life situation, what is around her, maybe her house, her education, her past, her childhood. That was something really nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, my dear. I have a question for you. Is when you leadership from home, okay? So I was listening to you, and something beautiful what I captured there is you said that being good in communication in this pandemic is one of the strengths to be a good leader from home. So can you elaborate? What do you mean by good in communication? What does communication mean to you in this situation, what we are at the moment?
Sure. So what I meant by communication is that, first of all, there are a lot of people who have, in this pandemic, with all the stress it poses, a lot of people have started falling subject to mental disorders. So I feel that as a communicator, as a leader and communicator, you should have the ability to, no matter what difficulties your team members are facing, you should be able to communicate with them form a bond with them, and make sure somehow bring out the best in them. I feel that is the most important job of leader as a communicator. So that's what
how can you develop a bond? How can you do it in this situation?
Yes, for example, you have a group meeting. Other than that, I just if I had any knowledge of any mental disorder they're suffering from, I just give them a phone call, talk about their inherent interests, make them feel at home with me, and allow them to confide in me if they wish to do so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
All right. Thanks, Shreya. Nagmani, ma'am, if you would want to choose someone, we'll alternate between the two of you.
Okay. I would like to choose Devi Kashyap. Okay. Devi, you have been throughout your sessions, I've seen you being, having a lot of open, mindedness. So I would like to ask you a question on Mother Teresa. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
What are those three, very, very inspiring, leadership qualities which Mother Teresa had?
Firstly, I have always been a really I don't have a better word for fan of Mother Teresa, but I really believe in her ideologies, and I've always, read about her. I had that comic book also of her, and her aim in life was to help people around her, whether from slums or people dying on the streets, and be able to I'm quoting one dialogue from that graphic novel that I had: make them feel loved, even if it is the last feeling they have while dying. Not let them die as animals, but die as human beings, knowing that there was somebody standing beside them. I would say that she had uh, the value of human dignity and the value of seeing equality amongst everybody. Whether it was a person who was dying on the streets right now who needed help, whether it was a person who was going through epilepsy and needed urgent care, but she didn't have gloves to protect herself, whether it was a person who was giving her his daily alms only to help support her in the little way that he can. The way that she expressed her gratitude to everybody was equal and always loved. Another value that I see is that I think she had a lot of leadership quality, wherein there was also a story that I had read about her helping another um, nun go through her path. That nun was very apprehensive around people who were of lower status, but she made it a point to teach her, to guide her, and show her the path of being able to respect human beings for what they are: humans, friends, family. Um, and as a third trait, I would say um, perhaps the quality of human connect. I guess that's really important according to me. Human connect is the fundamental feeling a human has for another. Um, and the fact that she was able to connect, she was actually from a very rich family from where she was born. But instead, she left all of that. First, became a nun, then came to India, and then also went on to wear saris and protect the poor and aid to them. So I think the fact that she was able to create that human connect, that human desire to help another human, perhaps that is the third quality that I would like to express.
Okay, Devi, this is my last question for you. Do
Yeah.
you think it is very, very important to have me time for leaders?
Of course, it's my belief that every person needs a little me time, because otherwise you're going to go crazy. Personally, I'm a person who says yes to everything. So I often finding myself today in this meeting, tomorrow in an exam, day after tomorrow in a debate competition. So that often causes a lot of confusion in life. It's also fun, but there is a lot of confusion that ensues. Um, in all of this, sometimes I just tell myself, Devi, stop. Okay? Deep breath in and deep breath out. Okay, let's take a 10 minutes break, listen to some music, watch some TV, and then we'll get back to it. Because when I don't do that, I realize that I go into this sort of mental trauma that, oh my God, how am I going to finish all of this? How am I going to be able to, since you said leadership, how am I going to be able to aid to all of my team members? And because I know all of them are going through their own personal problems through work or family or health related problems. Like Shreya said, we don't know what they're going through, but we do know that they're going through something. And it is important in all of that to just take that me time to yourself and regenerate your own energy and then get back to the race of life.
All right, Devi there for all of you as we go back to Dr. Susan, and who's she picking next?
I would like to pick Shrijana. Yes, Shrijana, yeah. I have something very different for you in the sense I liked with your ideas, you were more connected to empathy, self-belief, and which was something really nice connected to where I connected to leadership or maybe, in this pandemic situation. Now, you see all these virtues as kids, we develop from our homes, from the religion what we are from. And if you see, India is having multiple religions together. So in this pandemic situation, how are these religious virtues? You see all the temples, churches, gurdwaras, all are closed now because it's been 1 year now, nothing is functioning properly. So what do you think is a religious virtue? How are they going to leave an impact? Or maybe, it could be vice versa. Pandemic putting a impact on religion or religion putting an impact on pandemic. What is your opinion on this?
Ma'am, I personally don't think that pandemic has affected religion in any way. Maybe the temples are closed, but I feel like religion is something that lies within our heart, whether it is about uh, I feel like everybody has different interpretations of religion. Some say it's Hindu, Muslim, Christianity, or some say it's about philanthropy is a religion, or being helpful or being grateful is a religion. I feel like everybody has different interpretations about religion, but I feel like if people are strong enough to to stick to their points, I don't think so that religion will be affected by the pandemic much. And I feel like we all just need to be stoned, we all just need to keep our hope, and everything will be all right. I don't think so that pandemic will be affecting religion, because it is not just about going to temples and the churches. It is just about having a particular belief inside our heart and just staying strong and having a hope that it will all get better. That is what I think about religion. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, Srijana there. Nagamani ma'am, to you. Who do
I
you
would like
want
to pick Shashank.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Uh, as a leader, okay, if you've been talking about global warming and things like that. Global warming is such an global scenario that it is not very easy to solve that problem unless entire world comes together and works towards it, like the same way they're working towards COVID-19. So according to you, given an opportunity, what kind of solutions would you bring as a leader to tap down global warming?
So the first thing is trees. Trees are the whole thing that can reduce global warming in a high rate. So I would people are cutting down trees a lot today, more than about 10 years ago or even 20 years ago. So uh, they need it for many things nowadays, like paper. Then they need it for making wooden products, and they need it for making firewood in cold places. So I feel that for in some companies such as Classmate, they've started growing trees, and each person in the world is a leader of their own. So they should do something at their home. So for example, you can keep plants. Then the second thing is I want people who get inspired by another person to go and inspire other people too. So this will greatly impact because they will understand the problem more, and then they will start taking action upon this problem. They will understand that it's going to affect them too. Then thirdly, um, I recently learned that if we the waste, the biodegradable waste, when it is decomposed improperly, it gives out methane. So now, in the end of my street and in most streets, there's this big green dustbin, and it's not maintained properly. People just bring their garbage bags and they just throw it like that, and it's very messy. So I actually had this idea that I should make the dustbin more beautiful. So I thought I could make it in the shape of an earth, a big earth compost bin that could be kept in front of each next to the normal dustbin that we have, and they would put all their biodegradable waste such as dry leaves, banana peels, fruit peels, leftover leftover food, eggshells, all these things, so that there's less methane. This also will reduce the smell.
Okay, my last question to you is: do you think courage is a universal value?
Um, yes, I think that it's a universal value because needs every leader needs courage. If the leader doesn't have courage, then he can't go and inspire people. And if people don't have courage, they can't speak from their heart, I feel.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so Shank there with his solution on how to attract more people to dustbins, if I should put it that way. Dr. Susan, who's your next pick?
Yes, I would like to pick up Vanchika. Uh, yes, Vanchika, something which came to my mind when this COVID started about where India is concerned. Now, the government is collecting a lot of funds in the name of Swachh Bharat Abhiyan from the time, maybe from 4 to 5 years, from all the taxes they are collecting some portion. I hope you know the concept. So, do you think in this COVID situation where all the people are locked up in their houses, okay, no one is allowed to travel, move, there is a lot of open space. Earlier, to clean India was a challenge because of the population. Now, the people are locked inside. So, do you think that applying this fund of what the government has taken, was it an opportunity during this COVID crisis? Or do you think, the COVID was an opportunity to apply Swachh Bharat, or let it be the way it is what government is doing? What is your opinion? I want your opinion based on the situation and based on what government should have applied or what government is doing at the moment, or what you think they should have done. What is your opinion on this?
Ma'am, definitely the government should have utilized the fund on focusing the cleanliness drive in India. Um, Initially, we were all panicked, and definitely even the government was panicked about all the citizens. So it might have not struck them at that instant, but as we moved ahead, they should have come up with this idea and implemented this to work on the cleanliness drive or the sanitization facilities. And I think COVID has highlighted the importance of sanitization and cleanliness. So government should have utilized that fund for various projects. That can be from converting the non-biodegradable waste to some useful by recycling, reusing them. And looking at my own city, Indore, which is the cleanest city of India, I have a lot to say. And I see people themselves are self-aware of this fact that cleanliness is a necessity. So they have learned to adapt to this, and people are themselves working on this. So government should have encouraged this through some programs maybe, or even through social media for that fact, because a large number of people are there on social media, so the message could have reached them directly. Plus the government could have worked on the dumping grounds that are there, and where all the garbage is simply dumped. The government could have worked in some way to process that waste and maybe convert it into some useful material.
So do you think COVID is a win situation for Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, or will it promote Swachh Bharat?
Definitely, ma'am. We have all learned how hygiene is important in this time, rather. So we've now become more self-conscious about this fact.
Really? Okay. Thank you.
All right, we've got Devika left. So, Nagmani
Yeah.
ma'am.
Okay, Devika, this question might be a little, thought process for you. Being sympathetic with other people's ideas and desires actually builds the foundation of understanding. So, do you think a leader should be sympathetic to others' ideas and desires?
Yes, I mean, they should, because every time you listen from somebody, you're getting a better idea. I mean, it's just that other people have better ideas, might be, might not be, but you're always supposed to listen. No matter what it is, you're supposed to listen to them. You're supposed to understand them. You're not supposed to just block them away. Even if it's a bad idea, you're supposed to listen to them. Maybe, who knows, they have a innovative idea there. So I think they should listen to them, because every time someone listens, a new idea is born. And when a new idea is born, the world's becoming a better place.
Okay. My last question to you is: do you think excellence or excellent is a skill or an attitude?
Excellence is a skill, because excellence, you can't get it right from when you're born. You're supposed to work hard for it. So if you work hard, you'll be better in it. You'll be better in whatever work you're doing. But you can't call it as an attitude, because if you think excellence is an attitude, you're not gonna get anywhere, because excellence is a skill. You're supposed to work hard for it, and there's no other way to get excellence other than working hard and reaching your goal.
Okay, thank you.
All right, that is truly remarkable and outstanding. We've had an hour and a half of this, and it seems like the judges are really going to have their hands full to pick a winner from amongst the six of you. But I must state, and quite honestly, with the number of children and youngsters we interact with, we were nowhere remotely close to the kind of alacrity, sharpness, thought process that you all possess when we were in school or even in college. I must honestly submit that and congratulate all of you, but make use of that. Leverage on that and wish you a very, very successful future, because for us, the scope of our success, or probably the diameter of success, was still geographic. Today for you, the entire world is a stage of opportunity, and I really wish you all well. Congratulations for being a finalist, which is coming really far. Let me also thank our two jury members, and to all of you watching this, thank you so much for tuning in.
After that fabulous show, we now invite you to join us for the prize distribution on 26th January 2021 at 6 p.m. I repeat, 26th January 2021 at 6 p.m. We will see you there.